This is the debate that everyone's been waiting for. So when you see a headline like this, you're like, okay, does this mean that, they're going to test everybody for the things they need to be tested for? Nope. That's not what it means. Unfortunately, Donald Trump will have to continue pursuing that line of argument on his own. Instead, here are the rules. So first of all, there's going to be, tell me what you think of this, a uniform podium. Now, what does that mean? A uniform podium? That sounds like a table to me. I mean, if it's uniform, like they're not two uniform podiums, which would mean they're like mirror images of each other, right? These podiums, it's a podium singular. One uniform podium. So I believe that suggests one table. They're going to be there. Now, I know Donald Trump prefers to stand. He just does. It's a lot to get him to sit down. He likes to stand when he does the interviews. So it would be his preference to stand. As for Biden, I'm thinking about it. The Biden team, they got to be like, please let him stand. They're worried he's going to fall asleep, right, if he sits down. So I think from both perspectives, they're both going to be standing. They're going to want to stand. Now, the other interesting thing about this one is that they're going to have a coin flip to determine their podium positions. What does that mean? Well, why would they do that? So here's a little inside baseball. People who are in the political arena, people who are on TV for a living, people who are in Hollywood, they tend to have a side that they prefer. The good side and the bad side, in all seriousness, believe it or not. I know it sounds petty and stupid and this, that, and the other, but apparently Grace Kelly had it written into her contract that she'd only be photographed on a certain side. I get it. Well, Donald Trump likes a certain side. I know this. I've interviewed him many times. It works out really well for me because I actually prefer the other side. So you're going to get no argument here. A reporter always defers to who they are interviewing as to what side they're on. So it was always easy with him. But, when you get a politician that wants to be on the same side, you're like, oh, okay, great. All right. Well, you can get your side and I'll take whatever's left over. I have a feeling that Joe Biden likes the exact same side that Donald Trump likes, which is why they both want certain sides. And CNN's like, as trivial and crazy and childish as this sounds, right? They both want their sides. And I get it. It tends to be for example, I'm right-handed. So I tend to lean to the right with everything. I always, just naturally, right? Your body's sort of weighted in a certain direction. So if I got Joe over there and I'm Trump, if he, for example, had this particular preference, then it's tricky. It's tricky. You're like, wait a second. Whereas it's more natural for someone like me anyway, he's got the opposite side that he likes, to want to lean that way. So both of them like the same side, and that's why you have that. No studio audience because, you run the risk that there's lots of cheering in one direction or another, and bedlam happens. And it's going to be moderated by Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, both very liberal. But they're going to, quote, use all tools at their disposal to enforce timing and ensure a civilized discussion. Part of those tools include muting the other person so they don't talk over each other. Now, in my estimation, this actually is a big win for Donald Trump. This actually helps Donald Trump in that sense. It hurts him that he's got two liberal members of the media that are very biased against him. That for sure hurts him. But the advantage is, he can't, dare I say, railroad Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is easy to railroad. I mean, Joe Biden is a weak, feeble, very elderly seeming old man who seems to be, and I'm no doctor, but seems to be struggling from, dare I say, dementia, right? It certainly feels that way when you look at Joe Biden, and we're going to show some clips coming up of the struggles that he had to encounter even just this weekend in Vegas. Obama had to escort him off the stage. So if you're Donald Trump, you run the risk of being too strong in the face of that. And this is exactly what happened in 2020. So I would only say that this is Trump's debate to lose. In other words, he's going to win on every single issue. He's going to win on humor, and he's going to win on the economy. He's going to win on inflation. He's going to win on immigration. So they got to say what they preferred to talk about. As you can imagine, for Donald Trump, it's immigration, it's inflation. For Joe Biden, it's abortion And it's oddly, ladies and gentlemen, dun, 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 the economy. Because Joe's just done wonders for the economy. I mean, this is how delusional he is. I'm sorry. Like, I'll take the economy debate with him any day of the week. Joe Biden has done a miserable job with this economy. Miserable. All right. We are barely growing at all. And we have such massive inflation. Thanks to him. Thanks to all his money printing that, you know what, that's a debate that Donald Trump is going to be able to dance circles around him in. So good for you, Joe. You go with that all day long. But the immigration and the inflation issues, which inflation is obviously an economic issue, are going to be right in Donald Trump's sweet spot. Abortion is a little tricky, but if you think about it, given where the court came out, given what the Supreme Court decided, it's actually not a federal issue anymore, right? It's been kicked back to the states, which is what a lot of legal scholars wanted and a lot of conservatives wanted. So I realize that doesn't sit well with a lot of women. I realize that this is a very polarizing issue, but in some way, Donald Trump has the ability to say, you know, not my problem. Not my problem. This is a state issue, and take it to your state and elect the appropriate people with the policies that you want regarding this one issue in your state. Get it off sort of the federal campaign talking point memo. And as such, you know, when I look at this, all things being equal, people are like, oh, you know, here's the problem. You get a couple of hosts who can't stand Donald Trump and actually think the world is going to completely fall apart if he's elected again. That's Donald Trump's biggest hurdle. And then the other hurdle is, you know, making sure that he doesn't make Biden seem any more weak or any more feeble than he is, because you don't want people feeling bad, right? You just don't want people feeling bad for a weak president. It's very easy to feel bad, I guess, for him. But this is ultimately, I think, going to be the real challenge here. Can he seem like a nice guy, which he is, and not beat up on the guy who's got, I'm being funny, but not entirely funny, dementia? Okay, like, wait till you see the tape. Wait till you see the tape, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this one struck me as kind of funny. They're going to get one bottle each. You get one thing to drink. No champagne back there. You get one bottle of water each. I mean, it sounds kind of petty. The candidates will be given a bottle of water. What happens if you need more? You better be careful. You better not pull a Marco. Okay, Biden? Don't pull a Marco Rubio. Remember, this was like 2012. I was actually covering this in DC for Bloomberg Television, and I'll never forget it. In fact, every single time you see me gulping from the Trish Regan shop mug here, live free or die, trishregan.shop, little plug ahead of 4th of July. You can get all your 4th of July merch there, including your mug. But anyway, every time I take a gulp of this, I think about Marco, little Marco, who might actually be on the vice presidential. Well, he might be vice president. We'll see. Another topic for a little bit. But anyway, remember when Marco did this back in 2012? It was in the rebuttal to the State of the Union.
In the short time that I've been here in Washington, nothing has frustrated me more than false choices like the one the president laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between big government or big business.
Oh my gosh. One more time, Drew. One more time, right? I mean, that is hysterical. I haven't seen that in a while.
In the short time
it's so good.
In Washington, nothing has frustrated me more than false choices like the one the president laid out tonight. The choice isn't just between...
All right, I know that's a hard gig. I know. I mean, the poor woman, right, that did it and got spoofed by Scarlett Johansson on Saturday Night Live, because there's no naturalness there. I mean, Marco has been in politics now a fair amount of time. I think he treated it a little bit differently, but it's like, you know what? You need a drink of water. Get your drink of water. Don't like do this mad dash. I mean, look, you know, we're all human, right? You deserve a sip of water. I certainly take enough during this show. Pull in the Marco. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the debate. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you hit the bell, because we're going to be all over this. We're going to have some fun, guys. We're going to have some fun. I myself have moderated 2 presidential debates for the GOP. Remember back when we had a really, really big field? Well, I was at Fox and I moderated 2 of these underdog debates. And I can tell you the most challenging thing for anybody who's moderating these things is to get people to stop talking. So Fox, when I was there, had the brilliant idea, and actually it was a pretty good idea, of putting in this system where they had lights, color-coded lights. So we would ask a question, and then they got green, and then they got yellow, and then they got red. And when it was red, it was red. You were supposed to totally stop talking. But what's happened over the years, this has kind of evolved. And, it's Donald Trump, right? So he starts talking, he doesn't stop. And so even though you have a red light, he may not necessarily stop. He's going to keep going. And then it turns into a free-for-all and everybody ignores the rules. And there you go. And, all HCLL starts to break out, but it makes it good TV, you got to admit, right? Kind of entertaining. Remember when he went after Hillary Clinton? He was very good in that debate with Hillary Clinton. I think there were a couple debates, but very, very good. And again, I was covering those live on the scene, and I remember thinking, it was critical going into that he not be too harsh on her, in part because she's a woman, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but like the dynamic, it's the same thing with the old man. Like, don't pick on the woman and don't pick on the old man. You got to be strong, but you can't look like you're beating up on them. And so I think he was well advised going into that debate with Hillary. He knew not to overdo it in terms of his attack mode. So he kept some humor, and there was an opportunity for him to commend her as a mother and as a grandmother. And he took those opportunities and kind of humanized himself in that whole process. And I think he has the ability to do that with Joe Biden. Just the other day, he was saying how he felt some empathy for Biden, given what his son is going through. And he talked about his brother and his brother's addiction. And it was a really human moment. People forget, I guess, because he's such a big personality, right? He's still a human being at the end of the day. And I think he's very good at times of emoting that empathy. And it comes across extremely well. So my advice is to kind of dig into that a little bit, to be empathetic when appropriate, to be tough when appropriate, but not to just knock the guy down because he's too easy to slap down. Sorry, unfortunately for him, it's part of why I think so many Americans are looking at this thing. Is it really right that Joe Biden is our president? And it doesn't seem like we should have a president who is so feeble and so challenged. More evidence of that just over the weekend. I'm going to get to that. But first, a quick shout out to our friends over at the wonderful, wonderful American Heart for Gold. As we watch this market, and this market has been something, has it not? It really has been quite something most recently. And as I'm taking a peek here at gold prices today, I've got this great gold chart I want to show you because it has been on a tear, down slightly today, but still at 2334. So gold futures have been moving higher and higher and higher, in part for reasons concerning the political dysfunction you have in DC, in part because of some concern about diversification outside the dollar, right? Saudi Arabia's news, you saw that the other day. All of this contributes to people feeling like, okay, and countries feeling like we need a diversification strategy out of dollars, and the diversification strategy actually still gets back to gold. So a lot of central banks around the world have been buying gold, helping to drive up prices. And then you have people just looking at the reality of this mega debt, 34 trillion and counting, and saying, look, there's no will to bring this down in any way, shape, or form. So you're going to have, for the foreseeable future anyway, a ton of debt, and that causes them to have some concerns about the dollar. The Federal Reserve has also indicated that they are open to slashing rates again ahead of the November election. So again, that would weaken the dollar, causing a lot of people to say, let me take another look at gold. So if you're taking a look at gold, I want you to call our wonderful friends over at American Heart for Gold. You can actually get up to $15,000 worth of free silver by using my name. You can just text them, actually, Trish to 65532. Text Trish to 65532 or call them 1-844-495-1115. I will put their link. Actually, it's my link in the show notes. We thank them for their sponsorship. They really are terrific. Max is going to be back on the program next week. But it's Trish Loves Gold. You cannot forget that, ladies and gentlemen. TrishLovesGold.com. Go to that link to learn about how you can get up to $15,000 in free silver. Again, wonderful, wonderful partner here with us on the show.